Hi there, good morning. My name's Electric Johnny Hat. I hope you're all well. Just going to do another chat because I'm basically going to go back to plasma because I found some more information on plasma, and as I've been talking about plasma recently again, or showing videos again on plasma, trying to get people to understand what plasma really is. And so just trying to let everybody know about how powerful, which I do talk about a lot as well, about how powerful that plasma actually is in the atmosphere. Just before I start, 2022, just before I start the plasma and plasmoids, 2022 Physics Nobel Prize winners prove the universe is not real or independent to the observer. Well, that's obvious, we knew that anyway. But the actual quote that they put, I think it's Harvard, the universe is not locally real, and the Physics Nobel Prize winners have actually proved that. So 2022 Physics Nobel Prize winners prove the universe is not real or independent to the observer. Obviously. And this is why I say about where psychedelics come in with quantum physics, because it's all down to the observer. Everything is the observer because you are the observer. Each independent person here sees through the perception of your own eyes. So it has to be the observer. And this is why psychedelics is linked onto quantum physics. But that's the thing there that they're actually saying now that, remember, this stuff doesn't get televised. It doesn't get put in the media. This stuff you have to find yourself or other people that have been looking into it, and then they can tell you about it themselves. Then you can find the articles that way, because this stuff does not get advertised. It really doesn't. You know what gets advertised, and that's mainstream junk, basically. So, right, so moving on to plasma, because... first let me just read something out to give you a better understanding. I've read this out so many times, but I do need people to understand. Right, plasma and plasmoids. Plasma is the stuff, it's the electricity, high voltage that's in the atmosphere. So electrical, aka plasma, no physical body, appears, disappears, frequencies, runs on frequencies, change colour, sometimes produces explosive sound, can affect electrical devices. Example, TV, controlled path, intelligence. Basically, the plasma is our intelligence, like I've always mentioned and always talked about. Right, so the intelligence leaves a spark, streaks, sometimes independent behaviour or joint behaviour appear as single or multiples, large numbers of visibles or infrared of the eye, visible light spectrums, which is, these things are in our light spectrum, but there's a lot of stuff out there in the atmosphere moving around that's not in our light spectrum, though, so we can't see. Right, I'm just going to say something else in a second. They're attracted to volcanoes, and you will see in volcanoes when they're started to get juicy or kind of, it's not erupting, but they're moving around these volcanoes, they're active, and the plasmoids will come up, the plasmoids will come up and see what's going on because they're curious. This is why plasma came up to the Foo Fighters and stuff like that, the Germans, the Nazis, because they're curious of what we are. They're the higher intelligence. That is the intelligence of us, the plasma. So attracted to volcanoes, plasma pulses, aka sparks, sparkle ahead of illumination, exist in many sizes and energetic intensities. Pose no threat at all whatsoever to humans. Pose humans no threat other than the fear of the unknown of what plasma is. Plasma is us, it's our intelligence. It's the intelligence of the atmosphere. Pose no threats to humans to the unknown that can match speeds of the airlines, and this is why you see plasmoids and plasma chasing the Foo Fighters or airplanes in general when you get to the stratosphere, because they're curious. It's the intelligence, it's the electrical intelligence, it's the plasma, the plasmoids. Can match the speed of airliners, cars, and anything that moves around in multiple to show up at like disasters. Plasma bursts into rapid exertion. Multiples arrive at the cause of death as well, or when people die, they turn up as well. Exist human dying. So basically, the last part there is, so basically, if you look at like places like China, the huge fucking tsunamis or floods or whatever, huge floods, and people are dying, you can see where the cameras are actually, like mainstream cameras, whatever, or independent people are actually filming people that are actually drowned in these catastrophes of water. of floods. And so as the people are actually dying, you see the plasmoids come down because they're curious of what's going on. I'm assuming that the plasmoids are recognising that they're losing their life and they're moving into the next dimension of where the plasmoids will actually be at. Because the plasmoids come in and out of the ether, ignite, and they ignite and then go in and out, ignite, in and out of the ether. And this is what we see all the time. So just to read that out to give you a better idea of what plasma and plasmoids is. They're the higher intelligence of electricity that are pure intelligence of us that move around in our atmosphere. They are a part of our atmosphere, and you'll see them. Sometimes they come down to the troposphere, like I said, not that often, and then they go straight back up again. But you'll find them mainly on the stratosphere and further up. And the further up you go into, like close up to the exosphere, the thermosphere, the exosphere, you're going to see that the intelligence is a lot stronger and they can manifest into different shapes. This is plasmoids. Right, now to get to the heart of what I'm actually saying here, I've been listening to Randall Carlson and he let out a tiny bit of information. I don't think many people actually picked up on it, only the people that are really concerned, or, no, not concerned, that's the wrong word. The people that are really intrigued by all this kind of stuff anyway. I personally have. I've been working on plasma for the last 4 years on and off. But I stopped last year because I come to a brick wall, a halt of, there was not much else I could really say on plasma. There really wasn't. So Randall Carlson is, he's a great geologist, obviously, and he found out information that he has been told about. There's not really allowed to talk about it in depth, but they are going to talk about it in depth over the next 3-4 months. So everyone will be aware of it. But it's another thing that won't be put on the mainstream. This is stuff that you have to find yourself on the right avenues of trying to find where this information is. But if you stick with Randall Carlson at the moment, and he would probably give you a lot more information in the next 4 months, 3-4 months of what's actually going on. So a lab in the Maldives that have actually been working on implosions, and they've basically gone through all the physics masters from back in the ancient times or the old days, and they've worked all together to work on these plasma and plasmoids. Obviously, we've been working on plasma for a long, long time, but there's people out there that carried on from Tesla Tech, where Tesla himself, I don't know whether Tesla was real or fake, but this is irrelevant about Tesla because the technology itself is still out there, and it has been out there since the 20s, I think, maybe even further than that. But we all got to know about it around about, I think it was the 40s, 50s, 60s and 70s, and going through even further when they started advertising about Tesla, the scientist, not the car. So they're working on all these different masters of physics, and they have basically carried on with the Tesla technology. Like I said, they're using the water implosions as well, which was down to Victor Schellberger, which I'm sure you're all aware of. So they're with all these different factors as well, taking all this knowledge from these old school magicians. I'd say I like to call them magicians because they're so intelligent, these people. Like the Victor Schellbergers and the Tesla Tech, if it was real, or if Tesla himself was real. So the work from going from Victor Schellberg and all these others with waters and implosions, and how Victor Schellberg worked with the torus, with water and the torus. So with all these factors that I've mentioned, but they have now learned how to use a certain frequency, because we all know that everything runs on frequencies and vibrations. So now they've learned how to match the frequency of the plasma, of the plasmoids. That is kind of mind-blowing. Yeah, I only found out about it yesterday, and I'm still quite dumbfounded by the whole thing. Because someone that's into physics, this is an actual wet dream, to be quite honest with you. Sorry about saying it in that way, but if you're into physics, science, physics, chemistry, and all these kind of sciences, then it's what we do. This is what we love. It's our passion. So what they've learned to do is use the frequencies to take control of the plasma. So, and I think this is what Tesla, or the Tesla Tech, was doing back in the day as well. And you see the pictures and captions of Tesla with the ball lightning, aka electrical ball lightning plasmoids, and he was messing around with them. And he must have been doing the same thing by matching the frequencies and now using the power, the extreme power from the plasma, the plasmoids. Which there's nothing more higher in you know, energy more than plasma or plasmoids, because it's a natural law basis of our atmosphere, the technology of the atmosphere, which is the technology or the knowledge and technology, not knowledge, the technology, all of us. It's the technology of everything in the atmosphere. We're a part of the atmosphere. So they've learned how to take control of them, so they can put these. This is what all coming from Randall Colton, like I said, and they're basically taking control, managing to get hold of these, not physically, obviously. They're going to be doing it through frequencies and moving them around with frequencies, and they're basically putting the plasma, plasmoids, the high intelligence electrical, and they're putting into certain places of where they need high powered voltage. You know, if you want to find something that's got a very high powered voltage, you're not really going to find it. So the best thing to do is go by nature. And this is what things like UFOs and all that were based on the bee. And the stag beetle and stuff like this. The English stag beetle was all based on dielectricity, you know. So they learn how to go through natural law. So they're taking natural law and using natural law in our reality, so they're taking control of the plasma that way, and then using the high power of that, because there's nothing more high power than plasma and plasmoids. But I'm really so shocked, dumbfounded by the whole thing that they've managed to do this. It's all just hearsay at the moment until in, like I say, around 4 months when the actual proper documents will probably come out. But at the moment it's hearsay, which is been worked through a lab in the Maldives. The guys that have been working on implosion. Mind blowing. Thank you very much. My name's Electric Johnny Hat. Thanks for listening. This is so cool. I love this, and for me it's just the next step of working or finding the knowledge on plasma and plasmoids. Thank you very much.